Good evening, and welcome to the BMA, Kingsport BMA, January 21st meeting. We're meeting tonight in the Montgomery Watterson Boardroom. We will have Pledge of Allegiance, followed by invocation by Reverend Adam Love. So if you will, join me as we do our pledge. Stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Love.
Gracious Lord, we are thankful for this time in which you entrust your children with the leadership of your other children. And so give them hearts and minds and spirits that are open to your leading. Help them to remember, as you command us, those less fortunate, especially the poor, that we may be servants and not people who are only preoccupied with our own self-interest. Expand our views, that we may see all the people and love them well. In the name of Jesus our Lord, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Love. You may be seated. Madam Recorder, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Montgomery.
Here.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Alderman Baker.
Here.
Alderman Cooper.
Here.
Alderman George.
Here.
Alderman Mays.
Here.
Alderman Phillips.
Here.
Thank you. All 7 members are present tonight. Mr. City Manager.
Okay, we have no recognitions or presentations on tonight's agenda, so we'll move into the citizen comment section. Mayor?
At this part of our meeting we allow for public comment. We have up to 5 minutes. We ask that you, if you want to speak, come to the podium, state your name on the pad there and address. And if you do comment, we ask that you keep it non-personal in nature. And this is a time for you, but don't expect us to respond back to you in conversation if you do come to the podium. Anyone wanting to come to speak to us tonight? Saying thank you very much. Mr. City Manager.
All right, we'll move into the approval of minutes. First, you have December 16th, 2024 called business meeting, December 16th, 2024 work session, and the December 17th, 2024 business meeting. We'd ask that you approve these minutes as submitted, please.
You have all 3 copies of the minutes, and I'm sure you've read them by now. Any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, that may have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Mays. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion, minutes are approved. Thank you.
The next item is a public hearing. This is an item that will be led by Jessica McMurray. I'll read the item first. Is conduct a public hearing in consideration of an ordinance to amend zoning of tax map 47 parcel 2.20 located along Brookside Drive from the M1 light manufacturing district to B3 highway oriented business district. Jessica will deliver the presentation.
Thank you. This is an owner requested rezoning along Brookside Drive. On this map, you can see the vicinity of where the site's located. The request is the property be rezoned from M1 Light Manufacturing District to B3 Highway-Oriented Business District to accommodate construction of a new church. On this slide, you can see the zoning development plan. During the December meeting, the Planning Commission did vote to send a positive recommendation to rezone from the M1 zone to the B3 zone based upon the site's compatibility with neighboring commercial districts and its role as a smooth transition between existing industry and nearby commercial and residential areas. A public hearing notice was published December 30th, and no comment was received. And I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may come to the podium and speak to the public hearing. Seeing no one move, I will close public hearing. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to further amend the zoning code text and map to rezone property located along Brookside Drive from the M1 Light Manufacturing District to B3 Highway-Oriented Business District in the 11th Civil District of Sullivan County to fix a penalty for the violation of this ordinance and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Mays. Any discussion?
With the new development of this church, I mean, will that impact any of the traffic around this area?
If a traffic study is required, it will come later in the process. Typically, 700 trips or more, 750 trips or more is what triggers a traffic study. So, and we'll work with the traffic department to determine that.
Is that for a daily count?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ordinance is approved, 7-0. Next item.
Next item is consideration of a budget ordinance appropriating $25,181 from the Department of Justice Office of Justice Programs Fiscal 24 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program. You see many of these come through for the application and then often the award of that. That is what you are seeing here. The application was submitted in July of 2023. We have been awarded for the amount stated earlier. This grant will be utilized for the purchase of gas masks as well as in-car video cameras. So we'd ask that you move forward with approval of the budget ordinance on this item, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the Justice Assistance Grant Fund budget by appropriating grant funds received from the U.S. Department of Justice for the year ending June 30, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion or questions about this?
Chris, the in-car cameras, is this to finish out so all of them have them, or are we just starting putting cameras into cars?
I believe all of the cars have a camera in them, correct, Chief?
Correct.
Yeah.
Some of it's replacement,
Yeah.
just cycling through.
Are they forward-facing cameras and in-car cameras, or just in-car cameras?
Both.
They're both. Okay. Thanks.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Ordinance is approved, 7-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a budget ordinance for various funds in fiscal 25. As you walk through the executive summary on this, you'll see quite a bit of activity across many different funds. The first is increasing revenue that is coming in as a result of payment in lieu of taxes programs administered by the Economic Development Board. That is being increased to allow funding to be reallocated towards a program administered by KDB for our facade and redevelopment grant, taking in money from donations as well as allocating additional dollars going out for various studies that the city is embarking on. We're also making some adjustments to the local match for the Kingsport Area Transit. Again, a good portion of that comes from state and federal funds, and then those dollars will be reallocated towards the next round of the MPO paving, which is in the works. In addition to that, we're bringing in some money for the Board of Regents sales tax, which will be set aside to cover expenses already incurred, donations from the library, as well as other donations through grants that we have been able to receive. Additionally, you'll see some items a little bit further down here associated with our landfill. We'll be discussing those as we go forward, but this simply sets up the revenue coming off of tipping fees to be used for maintenance of the landfill. And again, we've got a couple items on that this ordinance will address as we move forward. With that, Mayor, we'd ask that you approve the budget ordinance on first reading, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend various fund budgets for the year ending June 30, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Phillips. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion?
I hope we don't need the road salt that you're buying.
History's not on our side. That's right.
Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ordinance approved 7-0. Mr. City Manager.
All right, now move into items requiring second and final reading. First item is consideration of an ordinance to amend the zoning of tax map 105, parcels 193 and 194, located along Somerville Road and Kendrick Creek Road from the A1 Agricultural District to the R1C Residential District. This comes to you on second and final reading. We'd ask that you approve the ordinance, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to further amend the zoning code text and map to rezone property located along Somerville Road and Kendrick Creek Road from the A1 Agricultural District to R1C Residential District in the 14th Civil District of Sullivan County to fix a penalty for the violation of this ordinance and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. You've heard reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Any discussion? Okay. Madam Recorder, please take the roll, please.
Alderman Baker.
Aye.
Alderman Cooper.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Aye.
Alderman George.
Abstain.
Alderman Mays.
Aye.
Alderman Phillips.
Aye.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye. The ordinance passes 6-0-1. One abstention. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of an ordinance to amend the fiscal 25 General Purpose School Fund and General Projects Fund budget. This comes to you on second and final reading from the Board of Education. We ask that you approve the ordinance, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend the General Purpose School Fund budget and the General Projects Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Cooper. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Mays. Any discussion?
Chris, I understand that the $685,900 for the general purpose school fund is for architectural and engineering fees for new elementary school, and I think I understand that that money will be replenished with the bond money.
That's correct. They are fronting the cash on this from their surplus.
Yeah.
And once we issue the bond issuance to cover the remainder of the engineering and construction, those dollars would be reimbursed back through that.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other comment or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Recorder, please take the roll.
Alderman Baker.
Aye.
Alderman Cooper.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Aye.
Alderman George.
Aye.
Alderman Mays.
Aye.
Alderman Phillips.
Aye.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye. Ordinance passed 7-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a budget ordinance for various funds in fiscal 25. Again, this is dealing with our operating budget and the various funds associated with that. We'd ask that you approve this on second and final reading, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend various fund budgets for the year ending June 30, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Cooper. Any discussion? Madam Recorder, please take the roll.
Alderman Baker.
Aye.
Alderman Cooper.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Aye.
Alderman George.
Aye.
Alderman Mays.
Aye.
Alderman Phillips.
Aye.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye. The ordinance passes 7-0. The City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution to approve a TDOT right-of-way acquisition and associated construction easement for a portion of tax map 60, parcel 6, for rock slide mitigation purposes. You will recall a little over a year ago, there on I-26 going over Bays Mountain, a portion of that road was temporarily closed in order to address a rock slide. TDOT is seeking a right-of-way from us, an easement from us, to be able to go in and do some necessary stabilization work to prevent, hopefully prevent this from happening again. You see the offer that is there for the property that is currently owned by the city of Kingsport. This has gone through the Regional Planning Commission, comes to you all with a favorable recommendation. We anticipate the start of this really not being until later in the fall, and potentially could take up to 3 years for this work to take place. And with that, Mayor, be happy to answer any questions, but we recommend you move forward with the approval of the resolution, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving the conveyance of real property to the Tennessee Department of Transportation for rock slide mitigation and authorizing the mayor to execute an appropriate deed and any other documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of this resolution.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Mayor Duncan and second by Alderman Mays. Any discussion? Okay. Then all in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution awarding an agreement for architectural and engineering services for the new elementary school and associated work at the Linview Community Center site to Thompson and Linton, Inc. You'll see in the executive summary that the Kingsport City Schools staff, in conjunction with the Board of Education, put out a request for proposals and qualifications for the design and engineering work. After a very thorough review, it was determined that Thompson and Linton would be the appropriate firm to be able to carry this project forward. This will be broken up into multiple phases, with the first phase including programming, schematic design, site survey, traffic impact study, geotechnical, and an existing building environmental review. This is all being proposed under a fee of $644,067. Again, this is the first step in this process, as we have been discussing with you for many months now. The idea of a new elementary school in the Lynn Garden area that consolidates existing schools, also allows for growth that we're seeing on the west side of town. Second phase of this, not part of this action form and with a separate company, is the work that is being done in the former Sullivan North to convert that into an elementary school. Both items will be part of a capital budget that will be forthcoming to the Board of Mayor and Alderman for consideration. This is the first step to begin giving us a general idea of what this will look like, what our costs will be, what road improvements will need to be made in order to accommodate this school in this community. Mayor, be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution awarding an agreement for architectural and engineering services for the new elementary school and associated work at the Linview Community Center site to Thompson and Linton Incorporated, and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same and any and all documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of this resolution.
You've heard a reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second? Second by Vice Mayor Duncan. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, as we progress on this project and continue work on it, and the Board of Education and staff, I would like for, in that planning, in that work, to think about and consider what about happens to the old facilities. I would like for us to have a plan, at least in progressing as to what to do, because I think that's part of the comprehensive plan. We don't want to build a fantastic new facility and then not have a good idea of what we're going to do with the old facilities in the community, because that has a community impact as well. So I would like for us to bring that into the fold of all the work that's progressing.
Absolutely. As we go through this, especially as it pertains to the schools, we'll be talking about opportunities for reuse. Maybe that's an educational purpose. Maybe that is looking at surplusing it and turning that into residential or commercial development. So we'll be evaluating that. On the city side, we're already beginning to look at our options to present to you in terms of the community center coming out of there, how the new school design will allow for some after-hour community use, but then also what do we do with some of the programming that's there. So as we progress through this, 100% that is on our radar, and we'll be bringing that for you all for consideration. Thanks.
Thank you.
This school, there's going to be 4 schools impacted. 3 of them will remain. Lynn Garden is going to be demolished if the plan goes through. Am I correct?
Correct.
Lynnview is.
Yeah, Lynnview Community Center.
Yeah. That leaves Roosevelt, Jackson, and Kennedy. Schools Alderman Mays is talking about.
Yes.
Any other comment? Okay. All in favor of resolution say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of resolution for amendment number 1 to TDOT agreement for Island Road improvements and authorizing the mayor sign all applicable documents. If you've been on this board for some time, you'll know that this has been a project that we have been working on and advancing through our MPO process. We're at the point now where we need to do a contract amendment to push the date out so that we continue to get reimbursed for that. You most recently saw that on the Main Street project, similar here, to push this out until December 31st, 2026. So we'd ask that you approve the resolution authorizing this contract amendment on the date change.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving an amendment to agreement number 190070 with the Tennessee Department of Transportation for the Island Road improvements and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all the documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
You've heard a reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion, comment? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City Manager.
As I put this next item on the table, I'm going to ask our Deputy City Manager to make his way up to the podium. Your next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for and receive a state water infrastructure grant application for lead service line inventory. Ryan?
All right, so I assume at the work session you wanted a little more explanation.
A lot of the people that got the letter that was designed by the federal government did not understand why they got the letter and felt that this may be very applicable and had some concerns.
It definitely raised concerns. After what occurred in some other cities, Flint, Michigan, there was a much higher raised concern for lead line and its exposure to citizens. So EPA changed or revised what's called the lead and copper rule. And in that, they required us as a utility to have what's called positive identification of the lines. So that means we actually have to identify the material that is the service line from our main pipe that feeds the meter. And then something that's really unique is from the meter to the house. And first off, as a utility, we have never experienced lead line in Kingsport. It has never been something that must have been a common material of construction, but that doesn't matter. We still have to have positive identification of all lines. So phase 1 of that, and we've met all the requirements EPA has laid out. Phase 1 was a voluntary where, well, first off is a certain age house and above, it's not of a concern because it was banned at a certain time period. But then there was a voluntary survey that went out that asked people to, if they could, identify the piping within their house, plastic, copper. And through that, we got about 30% of our 38,000 customers, and no lead pipe was identified through that. The next phase will be going door-to-door inventorying, talking to the customer, seeing if we can get access to their pipe, look at it, and make sure we have positive identification. As well as, if we're not able to do that, we have to dig on both sides of the meter to verify the material of construction. And what this action you all are voting for is a grant that TDEC has made available that will assist in that effort. It's a huge effort to go to 38,000 customers and determine positively what material their piping is. So we, look forward to receiving this grant, and then moving forward, we're meeting every requirement that's there. The biggest thing is to assure the city of Kingsport and their citizens, while you're receiving these letters, we don't have the concern that there is lead material within our system, nor have we seen it in any of our customers' systems. But we still have to go through all of the checks to make sure that in the end we have made positive identification of every service line.
And just to add to that, utilities across the state are being asked to do this.
Across the country.
Across the country.
Yeah.
And you'll see other neighboring jurisdictions begin to ramp up to where we are in the coming weeks. Sorry.
Mr. If you would stay there for a second, I'm going to ask the attorney to publish it, then we'll have more discussion, okay? Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution ratifying the application for a state water infrastructure grant, application for lead service line inventory, and authorizing the mayor to execute a letter in support thereof.
You've heard a reading of the resolution. I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Now more discussion.
Thank you. I just said, we work with a lot of people, not just in Kingsport, but throughout this region that have moved here recently that were because of the way the letter was wording.
Yes.
And so you are saying that you have not found any lead in anything you have checked so far.
That's right.
But it's someone like me that lives in a house built in 58 that I have been in my crawl space, but it's not someplace I hang out, that somebody from the utilities will probably knock on my door, ask to be able to go in my crawl space, which anybody's welcome to do, and if there's any critters out there in there, please get them out. And they will say that there is no lead piping in my house.
That's right.
And you'll mark me off the list.
That's right. And we keep a website. If you go to our kingsporttn.gov, you can follow some leads to a really good page that describes this whole program. And there is a map that is actively maintained that would show every address and 2 dots, one for our side of the service lateral and one for the other side of the service lateral. And in time, all of them will have worked our way through the city and hopefully provide the assurance to our citizens, our ratepayers, that they're drinking safe, clean water.
On the flip side of that, if you do find lead, what's the next?
So we would have to begin a remediation, working with the customer on their side to ensure that that is taken care of on their side. On our side, if we found lead, we would take care of it immediately.
And this is across the nation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
a huge.
Oh, it's unbelievably expensive, yeah.
You think about.
And the letter really had some people very concerned.
It is. We had to use certain terminology that was crafted to make sure that the message across the nation was consistent. So that's why I encourage, there are links on the website to go to, and you can learn more about it. But our neighbors, Johnson City, has a very similar website like we do.
So I didn't catch this until you just mentioned this, but so like I've got a 88-year-old great-grandmother who lives on fixed income, and you find her lines are lead. She's responsible then for fixing that?
Well, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. At the present time, it's her pipe.
Yeah, she lived in a house for 80 years.
Yeah, so I would assume in a community that had a large amount of this, that I would assume that there's probably going to be future grant opportunities to take care of those things. But legally, we own to the meter. And then from the meter to the house is owned by the customer.
Surely you're not suggesting the federal government ask you to do something with no plan forward.
Well, like I said, I'm sure in the communities that are identified where this is, an issue, that there's probably funding available for it. It's not something we've pursued because we don't
James's
anticipate
grandmother
it.
decide not to do anything? I have lead up.
That's a good question.
She's 88 years.
She's not here anymore. The lead got her.
No, what'll happen though possibly is that property will be, there could be a registry. So if you try to sell the property, it's gonna be flagged.
That's probably a good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan, you said you're making an assumption that there would be funding available. You've not seen anything from the federal government saying that could happen.
I'll say that since it's not of concern for Kingsport, I've not pursued. I would assume at Flint, Michigan, there was state, federal funding that assisted in the issue that was there. Again, it's not something I've dug deep into since we do not anticipate being an issue in Kingsport.
Now, when you say Kingsport, this is our water department. So is this just the city of Kingsport, or are you doing it for all of our water components?
The utility.
Or the
so all of
the
our
utility
customers.
district. So this is
Yep.
this is not a city. You're doing it for everyone that gets water
That's
from
right.
our utility.
How many homes is that, Ryan?
So it's 38,000 connections. So we serve over 100,000 people. So the system itself, beside the city of Kingsport, of course, is in Sullivan County, a portion of Washington County, a portion of Greene County, and a portion of Hawkins County. And we have a few customers that are actually in Scott County, Virginia, as well.
Thus far, all we've been asked to do is inventory.
That's
we
right.
haven't been given any other.
And what y'all are voting on tonight is
Money.
to apply for a grant that would assist us in what we're required to do in that inventory.
There's also information out there that folks can go to self-check their lines.
Yes.
You know, scrape the pipe and.
If you the letter we sent out showed you how to do it, and then the website would also walk you through as a customer. And if you were to go through the website or even call us, then we could, if you went through that and said, oh, I have galvanized or I have plastic or copper, we wouldn't have to visit your home. We could go ahead, and that's why we pushed out through this past year those letters to try and get as much response as possible.
That would include like newer subdivisions as well. Let's say like Old Island.
The new site from I'm getting close to a date. I don't know the exact date, but somewhere in the mid 80s forward, it's of no concern because it was banned as a material at that point.
So your 38,000 includes everybody, even the ones that are new construction.
No. Oh, let me think about that. Yes, 38,000 is everybody. We're 30%
So
done.
you
yes.
wouldn't even have to do a
That's
portion
where
of-
we got the bulk of the 30% of the 30,000. Yes, ma'am.
Those are the ones that are old. You didn't get responses. You just know they're.
We just know because of the age.
Will this grant finish out the inventory?
No. It will
much more?
definitely assist. 250,000 is the maximum this grant will allow, and we'll continue to pursue other grants. But no, it's not anticipated that this will finish the inventory.
Any idea what this will take us from 30% complete to 70% complete?
I do not know at this point. No.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one thing, while Ryan is up there, I think if there is this much interest in the public about the drinking water, should read the city report, the annual report on the testing and how safe our city water is, because it's quite impressive. And I've read it, and I know everyone on this board reads those as well. And I commend the city staff for being exceptional in the clean drinking water that we have in Kingsport. So it's really fantastic.
Thank you, and I'll add too at the website. It's the Consumer Confidence Report that Alderman Mays is referring to, and it is a very good document that can tell you all kinds of things about our drinking water. Also, the Friday after school lets out, Public Works Day, is a great opportunity. All of the professionals within our drinking water group will be at the farmers market, and if you really had concern or really wanted to learn, that's a great place to go talk to them as well.
Ron, you all do all kinds of testing, the water system for how many COVID people, can't they test it for our system for lead? Looks like that'd be the easiest way to do it.
Yes,
test the water that comes out of your faucet to see if there's any lead in it instead of digging in the pipes.
And I'm sorry, this discussion can keep on going, but so the pH of water can change such that a lead pipe that might be safe, and this is one of the factors that occurred in Flint. The lead pipe that was safe for years, the characteristic of the water changed and started pulling the lead out of the pipe. So while we test all the time, they want to ensure that there is no lead material in the system. Yes, so you're correct. We test a lot. You're rest assured, drinking water is very safe. We're blessed that we're where we are in the water system. As far up into it, what comes to us is very clean to begin with. And so, any other questions?
Any other? Ready to vote? All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. The city manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing an irrevocable license agreement with LMK Communications LLC, doing business as Segra. This is specific to the Main Street project, as we are in the process of installing conduit along that stretch of roadway. Segra has approached us about the desire to utilize one of those lines in order to install fiber optic line there. They will be reimbursing us what we estimate to be approximately $100,000 for that. And so, as we discussed earlier, as we're kind of moving through this project and beginning to wrap this project up, we'll be finishing out the conduit, and they will begin the process of pulling their fiber optic and then providing that reimbursement. So, ask that you approve the resolution authorizing this agreement, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving an irrevocable license agreement with LMK Communications LLC for the location of infrastructure along Main Street and authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the same.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion?
Chris, this will not cause any impediment with the Main Street project, no closure, no nothing like that.
No, nothing more than I think what you're going to see just as they're doing work. It should not be any impact, but much of the conduit is in the ground. The others will be going in, part of the construction there in the downtown section, if you will, of Main Street, but we're not anticipating any disruption.
The work that's already been done shouldn't be any disruption to traffic.
That should not be.
On this, where it's a reimbursement, does that come to us in one payment? And since we had already put this conduit in, now that we get the money back, does it go back into this project, or does it go back as general?
I say it'll go back into the project, and then as we work through the project, we'll either draw that down or we'll close that out and redistribute funds.
Be one payment,
yeah,
and it will be during the time frame of the project. Okay.
Any other comment? Okay. All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution to amend a lease agreement with Big Brothers Big Sisters of East Tennessee for space at the V.O. Dobbins Senior Complex. This agency has been at VO for many years. We are asking and working with them to move into another suite located within the nonprofit wing of that facility. This will facilitate the opening of space for city staff. You can see in the last paragraph there the structure of that lease. So we'd ask that you approve the resolution authorizing this amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving an amendment to the lease between the City of Kingsport and Big Brothers Big Sisters of East Tennessee, altering the lease space at the V.O. Dobbins Complex and authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
Heard the reading. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes 7-0. City manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution to enter into an agreement with Phillips & Jordan for material disposal at Kingsport's construction and demolition landfill, and authorizing the mayor to sign all applicable documents. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you, let you get the item on the floor, and then I'm going to have Ryan just kind of walk through what all is involved with this.
And I'm assuming this is not the Mr. Phillips?
It is not.
Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving an agreement with Phillips & Jordan Incorporated for material disposal at the construction and demolition landfill, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all the documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Cooper. Now discussion.
All right.
Just kind of summarize what
Yep.
all is taking place and then specifically the impact to our landfill.
Sure. So about 2 weeks ago, Phillips Jordan, actually a sub for them, approached us about entering our landfill with a very large amount of material. So this is from Hurricane Helene, and really it began with, first our thought was, well, what will this do impact our operations? And while it does eat up some airspace, what that means is our landfill is made up of various cells. This will take about a year's worth of life from a cell, but that's not of much concern. We're always opening and closing cells. The landfill itself, there's really has many, many, many more years of service life in it. It's a construction and demolition. It's not where our garbage goes. It's where the yard waste and the various other material we pick up with the grabber trucks go. So it felt like we were able to handle this material with a minimal impact holistically to the landfill. It definitely will impact the operations for the period of time. So what we desire doing is entering into an agreement with them. Two sides. They want to make sure that the rate that you all approved for the fiscal year that ends June 30th maintains, that we wouldn't desire moving it in the middle of their activity. And really, that's not a practice you all have done in the past anyway, but I understand their desire to have that locked in. From our perspective, our legal counsel said, you know, you probably want to get a performance or a payment bond or something to ensure with this much material going through us billing them once a month that we will have payment. And no reason to doubt their desire to pay us, but this contract puts it in a much more legal relationship. That's what you're going to vote on tonight. And then after this is a rental of a bulldozer so we can handle this material and keep the citizens of Kingsport's material being with very minimal impact as well. But really, this they have to find a landfill close, this type of landfill.
This
we have
is
the
not
space.
non-hazardous material.
No, this is not hazardous. It's very similar to what we would pick up on the sides of the street, the you know, brush and stuff like that. We have the ability, and our desire, what we're going to do is when this revenue comes in, put it into account to the side that will help us when the next time we close and open a cell. So we're going to handle that material to the money to the side, which really is a benefit to the citizens as well, because at that point, the sanitation group will already have this funds in place. So any other questions related to this?
No, but it's a pretty sizable amount, too.
Yeah, my understanding is 40 tractor trailers, dump truck tractor trailers a day.
But I mean, as far as the reimbursement.
Oh, it's very. We're anticipating quite a bit of revenue from this, so that will be put into the account. Again, that's going to be of great benefit to the citizens when that time comes to close and open a cell. We'll already have quite a bit of the money in hand.
This will be minimal impact as far as capacity of the landfill.
That's right.
We still have a lot of room to maneuver up there.
Oh yeah. There'll be. That's why the second bulldozer, we're going to have them going in a certain spot while our citizens and the contractors and everyone else is be more or less business as usual.
It'll be filled up a little bit earlier with what we're going to be putting in, but we still have a lot of years to use that landfill. Yeah.
Talking about 40 tractor truckloads a day coming through. So will other people still be able to get in Monday through Friday with that kind of truckloads coming in? I mean,
there could be time periods, but understand the way this operation will run, it won't be like a platoon of 40 running through.
Okay.
They'll be loading them and sending them, and then I think it's a 3-hour turnaround for them, something to that effect. So, we're not anticipating 40 trucks at 8 a.m. outside our gate and then moving those through while we're trying to get the citizens as well and our trash trucks as well. That's why we're going to separate, but there could be a traffic jam right there at the scale for a little bit. Since they're on an account, there's not going to be much interaction. We'll weigh them, they'll move on.
This debris is coming from Unicoi?
So it's my understanding this will be coming from Unicoi, but Phillips and Jordan also has quite a bit of, other areas, Mountain City and others, that it just, the trucking costs from those other areas, I think, would cause us to be prohibitive for them.
I think part of this is us being a good neighbor, too, to the region. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
So wait, I'm just thinking about this traffic. I don't mean to protract the meeting here, but so 40 trucks. How will they come off the?
So they'll come, of course, the interstate, and they'll either go John B. Dennis to Stone Drive to Brookside, or the interstate to Stone Drive to Brookside.
Yeah.
They cannot use. Is it Pavilion? They're not allowed on Pavilion. Okay. So if they start on Pavilion, we'll put a stop to that because no trucks are allowed on Pavilion. So
40 doesn't sound insignificant to me. So is the road? That's a residential road in a way. Brookside, I know it leads to a residential area.
It leads to a residential, but also that industrial park. It's what receives. I mean, Sullivan County, of course, runs their transfer station out of our landfill as well. So there's quite a bit of industrial traffic from Stone Drive to the industrial park. Now, from the industrial park back, definitely is much more residential as you pass Pavilion and go on toward Bloomingdale.
In comparison, I mean, how many trucks do we do a day now? I mean, is it going to double or triple, or is it?
Well, it's the size of the truck. So it's the 40 is not that, worrisome for us. If we saw issues, we would be looking at some traffic patterns. We're not really, we've had 2 weeks of discussions with Michael Thompson and others looking at the traffic. It is not really worrisome to us with the weight on the roads, Brookside, nor Stone, nor John B. Dennis, and the amount of trucks with the congestion. Again, it will be similar to when many more trucks than that are going to our landfill, in a day. It's just these are 40 tractor trailer.
You don't anticipate any of those roads need to be rebuilt during this time period as a result of the traffic?
No.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor of resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of resolution to issue a purchase order for dozer rental utilizing the Sourcewell contracts. Ryan spoke to this when he was describing the previous item. This will allow us to be able to move forward with securing this rental, I should say, and have the funding allocated to do so. You're actually in an item earlier, you set up some funding to fund this, and we'd ask that you approve the resolution allowing us to move forward securing this rental.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase order to Stowers Machinery Corporation utilizing Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement number 062320-CAT for the rental of one dozer for use by Public Works.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Baker. Second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion? All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing the transfer of funding to the Kingsport Economic Development Board for the purchase and development of property. Earlier this fiscal year, midway through last year, we received word that the City of Kingsport had been allocated through Governor Bill Lee's budget $6.5 million to go towards whatever was necessary to continue furthering the development of our dental school. So this step will move roughly $3.5 million to the Economic Development Board. $3.3 million of that will be used to purchase the property located at 117 West Sevier, with the remainder going into the development of a master plan for the remainder of that building. We know additional operatory space will be built out, as well as offices, classrooms, and conference rooms on the first floor. I anticipate being able to bring some additional information regarding the master plan back to you all as we progress through the remainder of this calendar year. But this allows us to go ahead and secure the building, which was a priority that we indicated to the governor when we met with him, I guess early last year, almost this time a year ago. So with that, Mayor, I ask that you approve the resolution transferring the funding for the purchase of this property.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving a financial contribution to the Industrial Development Board of the City of Kingsport, Tennessee for economic or industrial development purposes relative to the acquisition and development of property located at 117 West Sevier Avenue and authorizing such agreements as may be necessary to effectuate the purpose of this resolution.
Thank you. You've heard reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval. Approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. We need to really applaud Chris, city manager, for the work that he's done on getting us, number one, getting the cost down of the building, the work that has gone into chambers and economic development, get that awesome group to go to the governor. So, city manager, thank you. Thank you for the work there. It's really paying big dividends for the city. Any other comments?
I'll echo that.
It's a
Good
big
work.
deal, and we appreciate it. We would not be here. Not all the hours that you put in were worth it.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. City manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution ratifying the mayor's signature on an intent to apply application and authorizing the mayor to sign all documents necessary to submit pre-application for an office of outdoor recreation grant. As we discussed a lot last year, very successful year in grants. We're picking right up where we left off and going after another grant. This is the very beginning stages of that to set ourselves up for the pre-app. There's additional steps that will follow that's outlined within the executive summary of this grant. Should we be successful, the grant application itself is a $6.5 million grant. There requires a 50% match. It will be used to provide artificial turf at Brickyard Park, additional work at the Miracle Complex, such as the Pedal Park, multi-purpose field, expanding the parking and plaza area, as well as work at Bays Mountain Park with the Bobcat habitat and barge and pavilion trails. Quite a bit of work has gone into getting us to this point. We're very much energized by the fact that we've received an invitation to go after this. Fingers crossed, it's a competitive grant. We know how those work. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. But we're very hopeful on this. Last year, over $20 million in grants went into various capital projects, and that's a huge part of how we're able to supplement a lot of capital projects and bring them to fruition. Appreciate the work that Michael Borders and his team have done to this point. Michael will tell you there's a lot of work that lies ahead to get us across the finish line, but we're hopeful. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution to ratify an intent to apply for a Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation Office of Outdoor Recreation grant and authorize the mayor to execute a pre-application for the grant.
Thank you. You've heard a reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Sir, second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Any discussion?
I've got two questions. These are good projects, and these projects have been in a master plan as work that we was going to already do.
Yeah, so part of two master plans, one, the park improvement plan for Bays Mountain, and then the park and rec master plan.
This is a great use of grant funds. The Brickyard Park will help Frank Lett's group as far as tournaments and things of that nature. So there'll be some economic generating dollars as a result of that work being done. Secondly, you may not know this, applications due April the 1st. I'm assuming if we're approved, you would have a post-July 1st award but would we have to give certification of the match prior to the budget, prior to the July 1st? Because sometimes they require that resolution from.
Michael, you know specifics on this one?
Absolutely. So this is very similar to the LPRF grant. So when you do that, the resolution, and when you accept it, which just as a reminder, so we got the award announcement in last August for the grant. We had the check presented last month, and we're still waiting on a contract.
Sure.
So sometimes that takes time, and this is the very same cycle. But you really don't have to have the funds in hand until you go out for bid for the projects. And so that's when you kind of have to have the funding. And these grants are in a 3-year period of window. And so you can fund projects, and really what we did with Bays Mountain is we, in the LPRF with Parks and Rec, is we projected when we thought anticipated those projects would be complete, and then you match your cash flow with that.
It'd be FY26 before we have to make match.
Well, I mean, you're looking at, we're going into FY26 coming up, so we probably won't even, if we're successful, have a contract this time next year.
Okay.
And so by the time you get that, you get your notice to proceed, because in the last grant we had some projects that we had already funded design, like the otter habitat, but if you're using the grant to fund design services, you essentially have to have a notice to proceed before you can even do that. And so you really wouldn't look for a large expenditure of funds even in fiscal 26. You'd be looking at fiscal 27 and further on.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. The city manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution to ratify the mayor's signature to receive reimbursement funds from Mission 484, Hurricane Helene Disaster Response, as part of the Tennessee Statewide Mutual Aid Agreement. These are agreements that are through TEMA. You can see here the personnel and equipment costs totaling $51,747.71. This approval of this allows us to move forward with the submittal and hopeful the reimbursement. Mayor?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution ratifying the mayor's signature on a Tennessee Emergency Management Cost Estimate Form in relation to the Kingsport Fire Department's response to Hurricane Helene, and authorizing the mayor to execute all other documents necessary and proper to obtain reimbursement for aid provided during Hurricane Helene.
Thank you. You've heard reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion?
I was glad we was able to be
Okay. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0.
Next item is consideration of a resolution ratifying the submission of an application for a Tennessee State Museum Capital Maintenance and Improvement Grant, and accepting grant funds if awarded, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary and proper. This is a grant in the amount of $150,000 that, if successful, would go towards repairs at Bays Mountain Park Nature Center, which suffered damage during Hurricane Helene through downed trees. We are hopeful that we will see an approval of this. You see the announcements there slated next month. Project completion by June 30, 26. No match on this. So, Mayor, with that, we'd ask that you approve the resolution authorizing the submittal.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution ratifying the submission of an application for a Tennessee State Museum Capital Maintenance and Improvements Grant for Hurricane Helene disaster relief, accepting receipt of any grant funds awarded, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of this resolution.
Thank you. You've heard reading of the resolution. They have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Baker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 7-0. The city manager.
All right, now move into the consent agenda. You have 8 items on the agenda. I'll read through each of these. If you'd like one pulled for additional discussion, please let me know. First item is consideration of resolution ratifying an application for a Tennessee Arts Commission Arts Education Community Learning Grant for fiscal 26. Second item is consideration of a resolution ratifying an application for a Tennessee Arts Commission partnership grant for fiscal 26. Third item is consideration of a resolution to accept a private monetary donation from Lavelle Kish for Kingsport Police Department and to appropriate the funds. Fourth item is consideration of approval of offers for rights-of-way and easements for Fieldcrest Annexation Sanitary Sewer Project. Fifth item is consideration of a resolution to enter into an agreement with the Tennessee Main Street Program. Sixth item is an acceptance of the June 30th, 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report filed with the state of Tennessee on December 31st, 2024. Seventh item is consideration of a resolution ratifying the mayor's signature on the certification of local official determining that KHRA's agency plan is consistent with the consolidated plan. Eighth item is consideration of resolution authorizing the mayor to sign agreements and addendum with the American Red Cross for the Kingsport Aquatic Center. I ask that you approve these items as presented unless you'd like one pulled for more discussion.
Okay, you've heard reading of the consent items. May I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Mays. Madam Recorder, will you take the vote?
Alderman Baker.
Aye to all items.
Alderman Cooper.
Aye to all.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Aye to all.
Alderman George.
Aye to all.
Alderman Mays.
Aye to all items.
Alderman Phillips.
Aye to all.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye to all items. Sir, this concludes. City Manager, you have comments for us?
All right, move into the communication section. As we do from time to time, I kind of like to bring your all's attention to some of the things that you all have witnessed or you have voted on tonight. Oftentimes, we kind of lose sight of that. We've been here for 4 hours, counting our work session that started at 4 o'clock. But as is often the case, you guys are dealing with items that I know many cities wish they had just on one agenda in there, not to only have it on one agenda, but just to have one of these over the course of the year. But it's kind of hit on some of the top 5. We approved an audit, and a very good audit at that. We learned about the build out and the timeline for the Kingsport Public Library. We funded the purchase for the purchase of the building where our dental school is currently housed. You executed contracts for preliminary design of a new elementary school, and you approved many items associated with grants yet again, but most importantly a grant that we are looking at for various park and rec components, which is valued at over $6.5 million. That's a pretty good night. As I stated in the past, you guys often are dealing with items that many cities wish they could just have one of those items over the course of their year. So I appreciate you all continuing to work with us, continuing to help us push in many areas as we work through a lot of just really great projects with the city of Kingsport. In regards to the strategic plan, which guides so much of what we do, and the new strategic plan we're working on, of course, last week public comment period ended. We're in the process of kind of tallying up all those results. Later this month, we'll be having more conversations on that and kind of going into a more detailed discussion of what those items are, but I appreciate the opportunity for the citizens to give us feedback on that. And again, as I think I stated this back in June with the approval of the budget, probably going to ask more of you all fiscal 25 than I can recall having to ask of a board. Thus far, we've lived up to that. We've had a lot of long meetings. We've asked a lot of your time for various different things. Unfortunately, that's going to continue as we move through the year with budget planning sessions, trips to Nashville to speak with our legislators, then obviously spending a lot of time in the months of May and June on the upcoming budget. So appreciate y'all's dedication and your desire to essentially volunteer for the role that you're in. Mayor?
Thank you. Alderman Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. One is I would like to extend a sincere appreciation to the Audit Committee, members of this board, and Lisa Winkle and her team, and all of the city department heads, especially Chris McCarter, City Manager, because the audit is outstanding, and I know the Audit Committee spent a lot of time on that, and Lisa. and very impressed tonight. Saw the presentation, and I know the audit will be on the website for citizens to review, and certainly encourage folks to go out there and look and see what our financial position is in the city, which is outstanding. So very impressed. Second thing is I had the privilege a couple of weeks ago maybe with City Manager Chris McCart and Mayor Montgomery to attend police department's recognition. And that was an awesome event, and to see our sworn officers and our non-sworn personnel to receive recognition for their outstanding work. I think Chief Phelps did a fantastic job presenting those. Very proud of our police department and everything they've done and are doing for our community. So appreciate his leadership in that regard. It was an outstanding night. So thank you.
Alderman Cooper.
I've spent most of the day talking or thinking about things that are going to be happening in downtown Kingsport. I started the day at 11 o'clock with the Downtown Kingsport Association board meeting, and then we were back at 1 to listen to the representative from the Tennessee Main Street Project talk about things that were going to be happening in our downtown and some ideas for our downtown. Then we came to our board meeting at 4, our work session, and listened to updates about our library and some of the things that are going to be happening in our downtown region. Our downtown is unique. We have so many things to offer. I went to the Lamplight Theater over the Christmas holidays to watch one of their shows, and they announced that last year in 2023 they had 17,000 participants or people that attended their shows, which is huge. That's 17,000 people that were in our downtown looking around, eating and shopping. They have Foggy Valley, Ignorance is Bliss, is there for the next 2 weeks. So it's a comedy show, and if you haven't seen it, it's a fun show just to go. It's a family-oriented, family fun show to go to. February 6th is the Valentine Shop and Hop in our downtown. I was just reading that Urban Brews, that the coffee shop downtown, is going to start to be open 7 days a week, so you can enjoy coffee in our downtown area. If you haven't had their sourdough bread they sell there, it's delicious. We're going to have Oak Crow Tavern on Commerce Street opening in the next week or two. The pictures and the menu that they've posted online looks fabulous, so we're excited to get a new eating establishment in our downtown. I guess I talk about our downtown all the time. I think our downtown is the heart and soul of our city. I can remember coming downtown as a little girl, shopping up and doing window shopping and go up and down the street. So just enjoy the downtown. It's very walkable. It's a place that you can come get your steps in and on perfectly flat ground. Visit the Downtown Kingsport website because there's always something happening in the downtown area. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, great budget presentation tonight. Really, it's a great report, and you can take the rest of your life going through what she compiled and getting that great information. But it is really pleased with that. Real excited about the library. I was glad to actually see the presentation and to hear about some additions that are being talked about to incorporate the park, which I think Betsy said that the downtown is so important, and to have the way they're laying that out and to get to focus on that, I was really excited about. We had the groundbreaking at the new park on Industry and Netherland Inn, which is a Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place Park, which means that money that's a gift. That's not our taxpayer money. That's just a total gift, and a lot more. I didn't realize we were getting a splash pad there, or I knew we were getting pickleball courts. Real excited about that, and look forward to the ground actually being moved more than what we did with our shovels. And a couple things, just to visit Kingsport, wanted to mention some of the things that they've got going on this month. The Tennessee Songwriter Week event starts, it's January 28th. I think there's still some tickets left. I think got 16 different people that are performing their own songs. I think it's a tap house. Really cool event. On February 6th through the 8th, we have the AAC Swimming Conference Championship. On February 7th through 9th, we have NAIA Clash of the Conferences baseball. On February 13th through the 15th, we have the Independent South Swimming Conference Championships here. And February 26th through March 1st, we have the AAC Basketball Men's and Women's Conference Championships. So we have a lot of different teams coming here, which is always good for all of our restaurants, and also just to bring in tourists to our town to see how wonderful we are here. So a lot of people will be visiting during February. Looking forward to all of that, and just want to plug Bays Mountain real quick, because right now if you renew your membership to Bays Mountain Park, we have some people that have sponsored a license plate. We're trying to get enough people to have a Bays Mountain license plate. So if you renew right now, I think the next 100 that renew will get a free Bays Mountain license plate. This is a great long-term fundraiser for Bays Mountain, but right now we have some people that have, some donations have been made to cover the initial cost for the people that renew right now, but only for like the next 100. So be a member of Bays Mountain. It's a wonderful thing. Said the improvements up there are absolutely awesome. There's a lot more to come. And said if you haven't been to Bays Mountain in the last year, go up there. You won't believe what all has been done, but also all the things that are gonna be done. It's really cool. That's it.
Alderman Baker.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, the audit that was presented, I want to say thank you to Lisa and her staff and city management staff. For a complex organization like ours to have no findings, I think it's pretty remarkable. And I believe we have received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, somebody say 24 years? That's pretty remarkable. I think that should give our citizens confidence that we're managing in a fiduciary manner. Second thing, and I'm going to preface this, I am not speaking for the board, and I'm not speaking for the BOE. We've got an elected Board of Education, but I read through Governor Lee's voucher bill last week. And I read that I had some, I guess I scratched my head on some things. Governor Lee is offering a $2,000 bonus if it's approved for all 65,000 public school teachers. That comes to $130 million. Also, he wants to take 80% of the privilege tax to help with school renovations. I read an article through the Kaiser Family Fund a few weeks ago that talked about the amount of money it would take to renovate our schools to bring them up to 21st century in America. Pretty astronomical. I don't know how much good that's going to do. But I step back and ask myself the question: where's that money been the last few years? $130 million for school bonuses, and then the privilege tax. Public schools could have used that money in prior years. I also read a study that said 80% of private operated charter schools in Tennessee have success rates below rates reported for the other schools in the same geographic area. So I question, is this an attempt to improve public education in Tennessee? That same report said that the schools, many of them, could not report the success rate for disabled students because the number of students who were disabled were negligible. I think back a few years ago, my granddaughter was a third grader when the legislators decided to put the reading law in place. And I watched her that year, and she shares with her granddad a love for reading. But I watched the pressure that put her under, and I thought the state legislature would make money available to help schools get up where they need to with that. I asked the question then and was told there's not money to be made available for that. And now I'm going, $130 million are going to be made available for bonuses and the privilege tax. I also know that President Trump, I read his proposed changes for education. I hope the legislature takes a pause, looks at that to try to see how that would strengthen public education. I bring that up because we've got 2 new elementary schools on the horizon with an investment of $100 to $125 million, I believe, for both of them. And if the voucher program is mildly successful, I think we're going to be impacted. And I think we could be talking in a few years, how do we restructure to make sure the students in our area are being educated. I've got concerns about this. I think public choice is a tenet of liberty. So I don't have a problem with public choice. We've got a problem with the way this is going to be administered. And I would think you go to the school districts, there are 9 school systems on a state education page that have failing schools. So my question is, why don't you focus on those, make vouchers available there? We have a good school system. And my concern is that we're going to be hurt by the voucher bill. I also question, why are we lumping the vouchers with disaster relief? So again, this is not a statement from the board. This is a statement from this individual elected official. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. Alderman Phillips.
I have three small things. Ryan, would you? You're in trouble for missing the work session. I need you to come back up. But I have a question. I have two things, and then Ryan, I want you to answer my third question for me. So number one, I don't think anybody mentioned the new DB Dome is opening January 28th. So I stole it for both of you. So, I mean, I'm almost at the end here, but I mean, we got a tour of it, and it's amazing. It looks like a small college. I am very excited for it to open next week, and excited for the ribbon cutting. And really, in the grand scheme of things, the way government works, this project did not take that long. So I'm pleased with how quickly it went. Number two, then I'll get to you, Ryan. Number two, thanks to Public Works for all their help they have done over this bitter cold and snowy weather. I will never forget, I was at a Public Works luncheon one time, and we were talking about snow scraping and salting the roads, and I made the comment that in my, at that time, probably 38 years, I had never had a white Christmas, and I really wanted one. And all the work, the look on all the Public Works guys' faces turned to, I thought they were going to throw me out of the room, because you don't think about, we want a white Christmas, but that means they have to work all night and all day on Christmas Day to get the roads scraped. And so just in this bitter cold weather and the ice and everything, think about those people that are doing a wonderful job keeping our roads clean and safe. They did a great job the other day. Yesterday, they are a couple days ago, had the rain and then the freeze, so you couldn't pre-treat it, and our crew still did a wonderful job. No, and the third and final thing I've got, Colette mentioned the Blue Cross Blue Shield playground. That was a $6.5 million gift to the city. I think a lot of us were at the ribbon cutting, or the groundbreaking, and I posted about it on social media, and there was a lot of excitement. It's connected to the green belt. It's 8.8 acres. It's got everything Colette was saying. But I got a lot of comments from people who were talking about how bad the park was going to stink because of its location. And so, Ryan, I cannot explain it the way you can, but I would like for you to explain the steps that the city has taken, you can do it in a short version, of how our treatment plant doesn't smell, does not produce a smell, and how we know that to be true. And if you feel like you can't say something, just look at me and I'll say it. But you know, I feel like that's ignorant. Is a strong word, but I feel like that's an ignorant statement from citizens, because our treatment plant is top notch and does not smell. The smell that we have had is not coming from there, and that smell is, the Domtar smell is being mitigated and worked on as we speak. They're dredging. The cold weather slowed them down a little bit, but they're working on that. And so would you just talk to why our sewer treatment plant is not an issue?
Well, I think you summarized it well.
Sorry.
So I guess what I would say is, if there was questions when COVID did hit and production at Domtar went down, really there was no smell in the area. And they have worked tremendously and will continue to work to deal with what they have. But you're correct. I mean, our operators do a very good job. And so...
and we treat it different than we did 40 years ago. I mean, it's a different process now,
yeah,
right?
So the board, 20 years ago, the board made a tremendous investment. Board continues to invest at all times into that treatment operation. And there were things that occurred 20 years ago that we invested in that definitely helped the biological process, which an end product of that is a much cleaner operation with the odor. The odor's not as much a byproduct.
Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, just a couple of items too, but everything's already been said tonight. But congratulations to Lisa. I'll just kind of compound on that just a little bit, because this is her last audit. And so congratulations to that. And it's almost you know, we've kind of gotten complacent for that in some ways because we do get this good report every year. So thanks, Liz, for all your hard work and your team. Excuse me. And then during this cold weather, we've had some extremely cold weather. And so during this time, I've been checking on the availability of in our shelters to see if they had extra room for our homeless. And each time that I've done that on these super cold nights, we have had availability at more than one shelter. And so I know sometimes that, you know, people says, well, we don't really have any spaces available, but there are spaces available at a number of places. So, you know, why they choose not to go and seek shelter on these cold nights, I can't answer that. But I have been kind of watching that pretty close over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've had some super cold nights, and so just to kind of make a comment on that. And then just kind of about the library, it's exciting. We've kind of punted that down the road a number of times, and so it looks like it's really, you know, we've got a good plan forward, and it's an exciting thing. So earlier tonight, Mr. Borders, he gave us a good update on that, and I appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you. I just want to add, hitchhike on what's already been said. Over the last couple of weeks, I've got several calls from citizens saying what a great job city staff, city streets did in keeping the streets clean during the recent snow. So thanks to all the staff that was involved in making that good for our citizens. Also, for those who were involved at the rescue recently at the nursing home, thanks for the staff making that gas leak, making that rescue possible. And I can't see Chief Phelps, but I know he's over there.
He's hiding.
He's hiding.
Oh, there you are. Sir, what are you going to do now for revenue stream since Lieutenant Summey's retiring? He, in the, okay. In the recent awards they had last week at the police, Lieutenant Summey, I guess, had the highest number of citations written in 2024. So they've got somebody's got to step up and step up and fill that void.
The citizens of Kingsport are happy. They hope he enjoys his retirement.
And Ryan, thank you. Ryan, thank you for working with DB folks, getting that dome ready to go. So thank you very much. I think that concludes my remarks, and this means adjourned. Thank you.